Last winter, I was invited to dinner at the Four Seasons in Vancouver, but I didn't show up for the novelty of $100 per ounce caviar. Instead, I'd been invited to dine with the top brass of an energy company I'd been researching for several months. Also in attendance were several company promoters, elite geologists, top-tier bankers, and millionaire financiers. These guys knew the executive chef at the restaurant, so not only did we get a choice table, but we also had access to the back-of-the-house food and wine. We were treated like royalty, but that seems to be par for the course when you're hanging around with a group whose net worth runs into the hundreds of millions or more. But the perks of eating in one of Canada's finest establishments aren't the point of my story. The point is this. After the wine had been flowing and lips were loosening, one of the guys at the table mentioned a company by the name of Crazy Horse Resources. Immediately, one of the geologists perked up, and after a slug of Screaming Eagle Cabernet, he went on to say that he'd seen some early drill results and they're looking pretty damn good. And that's all it took. 5 simple words. I kept the company in mind, finished my dinner, and parted around midnight. The minute I got back to my room, I unloaded my work bag, opened the notebook I'd brought with me, one I've brought with me on every trip I've taken for nearly a decade, and scribbled down the name Crazy Horse. The dinner I've been telling you about was on January 19th, a Sunday. The stock opened during the next week at 8 cents per share. Here's what happened after. As you can see, after the tip I overheard during dinner, the stock made an immediate move. 5 weeks later, on March 3rd, the stock had doubled, spouting off for 100% gains in just over a month. This got me to thinking, how much money did those guys at the table make? I mean, these kinds of guys aren't looking to make 10%. They look at investments like Crazy Horse in terms of where their next 10 million is going to come from. They don't invest in hype, and they don't invest on emotion. They're multimillionaires for a reason, and they don't mention companies over dinner lightly. When that geologist touted the drill results of Crazy Horse, he was all but saying it was a can't-miss investment opportunity. And it's pretty obvious from the stock chart that those at the table took action. Here's why. If you look up Crazy Horse Resources, you'll see that, on average, 68,000 shares of stock are traded per day. In the days after the geologist dropped the line about the drill results looking pretty damn good, over 2 million shares were traded. That's a 2,847% increase in trading activity. Coincidence? I don't think so. But here's the real kicker. I have no doubt that several of those guys at dinner actually had positions in Crazy Horse before any of this even started. I'm willing to bet my net worth a good portion of them got in far cheaper than the 8-cent price tag. And while these guys are multimillionaires, that doesn't mean you can't get in on the same private deals they do, as I found out over some of the best skirt steak I've ever tasted. Now, I didn't recommend this stock through any of my advisory services because I wanted to see what happened before I told my readers about anything as speculative as Crazy Horse Resources. It was a tiny 8-cent stock after all. So none of my current readers, unless they were at that dinner, likely brought in a profit on this company. But that's about to change, and I'll share exactly why in a few moments. First, however, I want to show you a very profitable pattern I've noticed. I've been attending dinners like the ones I just told you about for years. I place a huge importance on seeing what I'm buying, so I've flown all over the world during the past 9 years for conferences, meetings, tours, seminars, you name it. And during that time, I've heard countless mentions of companies like Crazy Horse, whether it be at dinner, over drinks, or during a phone call with an industry expert. Thing is, I've always imagined these tips were something like how a group of guys will talk about sports. They'll throw ideas back and forth about how a certain player might be injured or that a certain team looks like a lock to win a particular matchup. It all just seemed like friendly conversation. But then I started to notice a pattern. I realized that it was far more than just banter. Like I said, I wasn't sure how Crazy Horse was actually going to perform after hearing about it. It was an 8-cent stock that had little going for it other than a few press releases. But there had to be a reason the big money at my table was so excited about the company. So I filed that example away and I waited for the next one. I only had to wait a few months. This time it wasn't an invitation to dinner, it was a 10-minute phone call. On July 23, 2014, I received a call from one of my confidants in the financial industry. The guy's a California-based millionaire. I've been asked to keep his name private, but I can tell you he lives on a waterfront property in SoCal wears a 5-figure Rolex, and owns more cars than any 10 people you know put together. During our phone call, in fact, he told me he'd made one guy so much money on a stock that the guy bought him a gift, a $250,000 luxury sedan. Anyway, he knew about a stock that I'd recommended to my readers. He called to tell me that another major newsletter was going to be doing a promotion on the company. Based on this alone, the guy himself purchased 1 million shares. I immediately jotted it down in my notebook, the same notebook I had with me during my trip to Vancouver, and circled the note in red. The next day, July 24th, I sent out an alert, telling readers to double their positions. The stock was trading at 68 cents per share when it opened that day. This is what happened after. By August 27th, it was a $2.29 stock, 236% gains in a month. Those who doubled their positions, as advised, would have turned $5,000 into $16,800, $10,000 into over $33,000, or $25,000 into $84,000. The point here is, I was quickly realizing these top industry insiders have ultimate knowledge on what's going to be profitable and what isn't, and my third experience with receiving a tip was the icing on the cake. On one recent trip in October, I found myself at the New Orleans Investment Conference. I was standing at the Hilton Bar after listening to the speakers when I was approached by a financier who focuses on mining. After a couple drinks of Macallan 18, he tells me that a company by the name of Soltoro has been having some drilling success. More specifically, he lets me in on the knowledge that the company will soon file a resource estimate, is in the process of a private placement, and has had some major silver miners out to inspect its property, with a possible interest in buying it. After a parting drink, I headed back to my hotel room, and before I could forget, scribbled down the ticker symbol of Soltoro, SOL, in my trusty notebook. The next day, the stock opened at 8 cents per share. Here's what happened after. Over the next 9 weeks, the stock shot to a high of 22 cents per share, a 175% gain in just over 2 months. By January, it was 26 cents, and then it went to 34 cents when the company was acquired in April, as my confidant said might happen. This time, the results didn't surprise me. In reality, I'd have been more shocked if the stock didn't go up. And again, the ones who really made out on this opportunity were those who staked their claims early through private deals and got in cheaper than most ordinary investors did, certainly cheaper than 8 cents. I'm not kidding either. You could have gotten in when all the heavy hitters did and been on to your next investment with tens of thousands in your pocket by the time ordinary investors were clamoring to buy at 8 cents per share. But my point in showing you these gains isn't to show you what you missed out on. It's to show you what you could get in on moving forward. As I've mentioned, I take note of tips like this all the time. I have a whole stack of notebooks filled with things I've heard or been told outright at conferences, dinners, meetings, and seminars. And the next opportunity I come across could be sitting in your inbox instead of staying a secret in my notebook. Let me explain. My name is Nick Hodge, and for nearly a decade I've traveled all over the place to conduct research, find profitable opportunities, and most importantly, glean lucrative details from as many top-tier experts as I can. I've been to New Orleans, Vancouver, and San Francisco multiple times, Puerto Rico, Toronto, Los Angeles, Orlando, Curacao, Alberta, Costa Rica, Saskatchewan, Paris, Monte Carlo. The list goes on, and it's because of this dedication to in-the-field research that I've rubbed elbows with some of the biggest names in the financial world, like John Paulson. Paulson is probably the richest guy I've ever met, and he was also one of the nicest. We'd both been invited to a closed-door investment summit in Puerto Rico, and we got the chance to talk for a while. But Paulson isn't the only magnate I've spoken with, eaten dinner with, or spoken on the phone with. Last summer in New York, I had the pleasure of an engagement with the Vice President of Brazil, Michel Temer. It was there I learned that then-President Dilma Rousseff could soon be impeached, and that would see Temer assume power, and that's exactly what's happening. Also there with us was Mario Garnero, the billionaire entrepreneur who founded Brazil's largest merchant bank. And if you wonder what kinds of hotel rooms billionaires stay in, I can fill you in. Mario's bill revealed that he didn't blink at paying $6,500 per night. I've also been in contact with Peter Schiff, Rick Rule, and Alan Greenspan, to name just a few others. However, I'm not telling you this just so I can run down my personal Rolodex. I'm telling you this to show you what the 35,000 plus hours I've logged in air travel and the world-class consortium of contacts I've put together mean for you today. And the 3 profit opportunities I shared with you earlier were just the tip of the iceberg. Not only can I get you into position to make tens of thousands off of ordinary stock deals, but I can also get you into opportunities normally reserved only for the very wealthy. Let me show you what I mean. One evening, as I was about to sit down to dinner, my phone buzzed. Normally, I'd ignore it and spend time with my wife and young daughter. This time it was different, though. I'd been waiting for a very important email from a contact I have at a tech company that has offices in Dubai. I eagerly opened my email, and when I saw the investment package attached, I knew I was in. You see, during the course of my travels, I ran into an opportunity that was much different than the 3 I showed you earlier. It was the chance to invest in a private company, something most investors in the world never get a chance to do. The company in question is a private tech firm that's pioneered a way for smartphone users across the world to communicate in a faster, more streamlined way. Until recently, applications like Skype couldn't communicate with Apple's FaceTime. Facebook Messenger couldn't communicate with Google Chat, and the list goes on and on. So to communicate with everyone in your address book, you'd need a wide variety of applications that essentially did the same thing. That is, until now. You see, the private company I came across has a highly efficient system in place that streamlined communication across the board. Not only that, but it's also hugely profitable. This company has already struck major deals with mobile operators, gained serious traction in the business community, and become a viral hit with smartphone users practically overnight. As a result, the company is projected to grow its revenue by an eye-popping 684% over the next 2 years. With the numbers it's posted, this company could easily go public and rake in tons of money. But there's actually a far greater chance that it'll be bought out before that ever happens. That is what traditionally happens in this space. The biggest example is WhatsApp, which was acquired by Facebook for $19 billion in 2014. And WhatsApp isn't the only one. Check it out. In 2007, Google acquired Grand Central for $95 million. The next year, British Telecom bought Ribbit for $105 million. In 2009, Telefonica O2 acquired Jaha for $207 million. And in 2011, Microsoft acquired Skype for $8.5 billion. The crazy part is, shares of this private company can currently be had at just $3.50 per share, while the company is valued at a mere $180 million. It's an absolute steal. It's one of the biggest no-brainer investments I've made in my life, and it's all thanks to a high-ranking contact I have with the company that my readers were able to jump in on a private investment like this. How big could this opportunity be? If it gets taken out for $19 billion like WhatsApp did, profits will hit the 10,500% range. That kind of win turns $10,000 into over $1 million. But this deal is still live and hasn't fully played out yet, which is why I can't reveal the name. There's one that has played out, though, and it's made some people very, very rich. In November of 2015, I was turned on to a deal, again, by making use of my extensive network of contacts. This time I didn't have to wait for an email or a phone call. I got the details in person. It was another no-brainer, as are most of these deals I come across, so I immediately took action and recommended it to my small circle of followers. The company this deal centered on is a lithium resource exploration and development company, and the timing couldn't have been better for this opportunity. People want in the lithium sector, and they're spending millions to do so. It also helped quite a bit that this company has the largest land package in Clayton Valley, Nevada, and an asset in South America that already has a resource and economics tied to it. Also, it has Frank Giustra and Paul Matizik behind it, 2 guys who don't do anything small. Problem is, it was off limits to most investors because it was a private company at the time. But those following me had no such concerns. I was able to get them in at 15 cents per share, a price that amounts to highway robbery. What happened? We patiently waited for the IPO to roll around, and once it did, we cashed out at $2.35 per share. I'll do the math for you. That's a 1,480% gain, and it all happened in less than 6 months. That turns $10,000 into almost $160,000, $25,000 into almost $400,000. and $50,000 into almost $800,000. These aren't hypothetical gains either. This is a 100% bona fide play that occurred between November 15 and April 2016, and I received plenty of letters about it too. One came from Tom Padilla, in which he told me,
"It's been an amazing run, wiping out many losses from the past. Thank you for this great opportunity."
These are the kinds of deals I line up consistently. Currently, I've been averaging a deal like this per month. Naturally, plus 1,000% gains are a rarity, and most plays don't reach that level. But we've done quite well on plenty of others that outpace most gains anyone in the investing world is currently pulling in. And it all comes down to getting in before the masses through private deals like the ones I've been telling you about. Take Google, for example. Original shareholders who were in before the internet giant went public made billions in 2015 when Google reported earnings and went up 15%. Billions in one day. That's why, when I learned about this particular investment opportunity, I immediately took the necessary actions to get as many people in as I possibly could. Thing is, you don't hear about these things in the normal investing world. You're not going to get in on opportunities even close to this by listening to coworkers, reading online articles, or watching the pundits on TV. You need to either build up an arm's-length contact list of millionaire CEOs, industry magnates, and politicians like I have, or you can get in on these kinds of deals starting today by taking one simple step I'm about to share with you. It takes a lot of hard work and in-the-field research to maintain the success I've experienced. Whether it's taking a jet out to California and speaking with an aquaculture expert to get the inside details on a world-changing medical discovery, or taking a tour with Canadian CEOs to uncover the newest intelligence in the world of energy, or checking out some yellow cake with Amir Adnani, the 35-year-old multimillionaire who heads the first uranium operation to produce in the U.S. in 7 years, or even interviewing Montel Williams in the hopes of discovering the next 1,000% winner in the market. There's not a stone I won't turn over if I think there's money to be made on the other side. Since I was a kid, when I started my own landscaping business, I haven't stopped looking for ways to spin a profit. That's why, when I was recruited by Angel Publishing nearly a decade ago to join the ranks of its elite investment collective, I jumped at the chance. Shortly after, I started my first full-fledged advisory service, Early Advantage. Even though I was new to the game, my hard work paid off immediately. My first pick ever netted my readers 159%, and I went on to nail winners on 19 of my first 20 picks. Shortly after that, I went on a 34-pick winning streak. That's right, 34 winners, no losers. It's this kind of uncanny success that led me to publish other investment services in the years since. My stable now includes publications like The Crow's Nest, Like-Minded People, and Resource Stock Digest Premium. I've also made multiple appearances on television, given countless interviews, written for several different publications, and authored 2 books on energy investing. In other words, when it comes to the world of finance, I think I've accomplished quite a lot. But there's still one thing I want to cross off my list. Over the course of my career, I've kept a series of notebooks. I showed you a picture earlier, where I keep some of the most powerful, speculative, and most profitable investment ideas I come across. While some of the information makes it into the reports I issue through my stable of advisory services, I could fill 3 full-length novels with the amount of information I've never revealed. Today, that's all changing. I'm launching my 5th and most aggressive advisory service, Nick's Notebook. However, I can't stress this enough. This is not a stock-picking service. In short, I've turned to my vast experience in the financial world, my endless list of contacts, and the information from my notebooks to create an advisory service unlike anything you've ever seen before. Put simply, with Nick's Notebook, you'll have access to the most inside stock information and deals allowed by law. You'll be able to get in early on stocks that are set to explode for gains like you've never had access to before, or buy them cheaper than market price via private placements and deals like I've been showing you today. The kinds of deals that get brought up at private dinners over $100 per ounce caviar in Vancouver. The kinds of deals you'd only hear about over glasses of otherworldly scotch in New Orleans. The kinds of deals you'd only know to invest in by receiving a call from a California-based millionaire who owns more cars than you have fingers and toes. And, as I just showed you, you'll have top-tier access to private company investments that are off-limits to ordinary investors across the globe. Of course, this service is still relatively new, but that doesn't mean my current readers haven't already seen some incredible gains. On October 14th last year, I sent out an email about an exclusive IPO opportunity I had access to. It was with a company that I'm still bullish on, so I can't reveal its name, but I can tell you it's in the booming cannabis industry. Whether you're into these kinds of companies or not, there is no denying the results. Here's what I sent my readers, verbatim, just 2 weeks after I was able to get them into this IPO at a mere 45 cents per share. We're up more than 200% in the 2 weeks it's been trading. That's a respectable win no matter who you are. This is exactly what I was after when I formed this new service. Let's sell half our position and let the rest run on a free ride. And that was the very first pick I ever issued through Nick's Notebook. Then again, I'm telling you, it's like shooting fish in a barrel when you have access to the types of contacts I reach out to on a daily basis. In fact, I also got my readers in a private placement with a company in the exploding organic food industry called Captiva Verde. It's a Canadian company, and shares at the time were trading for around 35 cents. But my readers had the opportunity to get in at a discount of 5 cents per share. We funded the company in July, and by December had sold our shares for 76 cents, a 153% gain in a few short months. But to be honest, this is what I expected. I'm not surprised at all, and I won't be surprised if we close 3 more triple-digit winners in the coming months. The opportunities I have access to, and would like you to have access to, are that powerful. As such, I'm offering you the chance today to take a sneak peek of Nick's Notebook and the profit potential it holds by taking a test drive of my newest and most progressive advisory service. And it's just what it sounds like, a test drive. There are no requirements, no red tape, and no catches, and there's no obligation whatsoever on your part. I'll show you how to take your test drive in just a moment, but first, let me show you an exclusive bonus I'd like to give you and why it stands to make you rich while you decide. While most investors would do just about anything to get inside my stack of notebooks, trust me, plenty of people have tried, there's something I'd like to give you today for free. In addition to the highly sensitive and potentially controversial information I'll be sharing with you, there's one opportunity you can take advantage of right now. Why am I doing this? There is one simple reason. Opportunities like the ones I've been sharing with you don't grow on trees. For instance, I recently flew back from Los Angeles, and despite meeting with a circle of high-ranking company insiders, I didn't pick up any million-dollar secrets. Sometimes that happens, but when I do pick up on something, the results tend to be staggering. If you'd invested just $5,000 into each of the 3 opportunities I shared with you at the beginning of this presentation, you'd be sitting on net profits of $25,000. Double your initial investment, and you'd have made $51,000 on just 3 plays. And that doesn't even include the private deal you could have gotten in on that made folks 1,480%. However, there's no guarantee when these mega profit opportunities will hit my radar and make it into my notebook. As such, there might be 2 opportunities one month and nothing the next. One could pop up tomorrow. But like I say, I've arranged one of these deals per month since I launched Nick's Notebook. While you can't judge when they'll pop up by your calendar, there are more than enough chances to bank explosive gains. I'm talking about gains like the ones Nick's Notebook readers have already had the chance to bank. Gains like the 153% we saw on Captiva Verde, 80% we saw on Natcore Technology earlier this year, and of course, the 1,480% we saw over a period of just 6 months. And that doesn't include our open portfolio, where we're currently writing gains of 63%, 188%, 203%, and 267%. The only question remaining is how exactly do you get in on these deals? Well, I'm going to give you a free report explaining everything, what these deals are, how I find them, and how you can get in on them starting today. Think of it as your starter's guide. I call this report the Pre-IPO Playbook, your guide to 1,480% gains. And like I say, this is absolutely 100% free to you today just for agreeing to take a test drive of Nick's Notebook. Not only that, but you'll be guaranteed access to the next deal I recommend. Remember, these things pop up on a moment's notice. I can't predict the date of the next one, but it'll almost certainly be coming down the pike over the next week or two. I feel comfortable saying that because I'm currently in the middle of receiving details on a couple new deals from a few of my contacts. I just want to make sure everything checks out before sending the news to my readers. I can tell you though, rumors have been flying over $700 bottles of wine and $100 steaks, so if history is any indicator, the time to take action is now. Remember those guys who got in on Crazy Horse? Well, that's what I'm offering you right this moment, and I'm doing it for free. It's deals like this that have folks emailing me time and time again asking for more. And the reason they do is obvious. They love making money. Check out what they have to say in their own words.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for all of your efforts and advice. You have proven yourself with me, and you are the only advisor I subscribe with.
Dear Nick, I enjoy your insight into market assessments. I've religiously followed your tips and recommendations and made lots of money.
Hello, I just wanted to drop you a note to say thank you for the insights into the market. Your portion of my portfolio is up approximately 75% in the last 4 months. Had I gotten in sooner, the gains would have been greater, but I've chosen to be a bit conservative. Thanks again.
Nick, great newsletter. It's the only one I'll keep subscribing to.
For many people, gaining access to my investment advice has been the best decision they ever made. And remember, I'm giving you access to my starter's guide, which holds several of my most closely held secrets as a completely free bonus today. It'll get you ready for the kind of deals that give you the chance to make the type of money that could change your portfolio, or even your life. How do I know? It's already happened. One guy, by the name of Dan Leopold, wrote to me about one of my recent recommendations.
I made over $100,000 with you on the first run a year or so ago.
I've had to redact the stock name there because it's an active play that's still making people money, and it wouldn't be fair to those currently holding positions. In fact, it's the stock I received a phone call about from my millionaire friend out of California. Donald McMillan shared his story too.
I did very well on 2 picks. Pretty lucky with a profit of $27,649.
And Anthony Raymond recently wrote me to say,
"This is the most profitable service in almost 10 years of trading. Pure and simple. 3 picks have been triple-digit winners for me. As a friend of mine who speaks broken English would say, thank you very big."
But my favorite is from Tom Donaldson, who made nearly $500,000 on a single trade.
Nick, my account is now over $450,000. Happy with the gain so far. Thanks.
This might seem crazy to you, but for my readers, it's standard fare. However, there is something I must tell you. Unfortunately, there are some of you out there watching this presentation who simply are not allowed to get in on these incredible private deals. I really wish this weren't the case, but due to meddlesome government regulations, many of them are off limits to unqualified investors. In order to get in on the majority of deals in Nick's notebook, you will need to be an accredited investor as defined by the Securities and Exchange Commission. What does accredited investor mean, and why must you be one to invest? An accredited investor is someone who can show a net worth of $1 million or more, not including your primary residence, or who has an annual income of $200,000, $300,000 if married, for the last 2 years, and a reasonable expectation to earn the same this year. While many of these companies' shares do trade on a regulated stock exchange, the exclusive deals I set up for you as a member of Nick's Notebook are typically private stock offerings, which the government mandates can only be offered to those investors who are accredited. This is exactly why my team and I have put together this private, VIP investing group I told you about, and exactly why we're only going to offer it to a very small number of our subscribers, and only to those investors who can afford it. And it all starts with your report, the Pre-IPO Playbook, your guide to 1,480% gains. It gives you all the details you need to know about these private deals, how they work, how to find the best discounts, and how to maximize your profits. You'll learn the best way to get into and out of these deals. But please note, these deals are announced and closed fast. If you join us today, you'll need to be ready to act quickly. If anything at all about this process seems confusing or tricky, don't worry. If you join us today, you'll get my very specific advice on how to implement these investments. If you've ever gotten recommendations from someone and haven't known exactly what to do, I promise that will not be the case with me. I make sure all of my recommendations are easy to understand and simple to take action on. For each and every investment, I'll tell you exactly what to buy, what prices I recommend, and what the relative risks and potential rewards of the investment are. I'll put you in contact with the very same connections I use to discover and wildly profit off of these kinds of private stock deals. I'll even recommend an expert broker who can walk you through the entire process if you need it. So, how do you take your test drive of Nick's Notebook and get an inside look at the kinds of deals that really make people rich? Here's how it all works. I ask this question of everyone who wants to get a glimpse inside my stack of notebooks. What's it worth to you? I'm not being brash, I'd actually like to know. I've been told I could charge 5 figures easy. I'm talking $25,000, $30,000. One guy even said $50,000. But that's ridiculous. Why charge $50,000 and have only 1 or 2 people be able to afford it? I'd be as bad as the Wall Street hacks who overcharge for their services. So I decided not to charge anywhere near those prices. In fact, the price I settled on is a mere 1/10 of what I could charge, considering the minute you agree to join Nick's Notebook, you'll receive all of the following. Nick's Notebook Burst Alerts. The minute I get a hot tidbit of information, one that could make you tens of thousands like the opportunities I showed you earlier, I'll email everyone on my list immediately. I won't wait. It doesn't matter if I'm in the States, in Canada, or in Japan for that matter. You'll receive an instant alert calling you to action, calling you to potential profits unlike anything you've ever seen before. Choice placement in private deals. You know how the rich get richer? By taking advantage of opportunities like the ones I've been sharing with you, and by getting in on private deals the masses don't have access to. Well, I do have access to them, and whenever one crosses my desk that I believe is a big-time moneymaker, I'll have an email sent to your inbox as soon as I possibly can. Remember, these are the kinds of deals the world's elite use to make millions of dollars over and over again. Private access to 5 special reports. Want to see what kinds of deals I've uncovered already? I've compiled each in a special report for my readers. This is a password-protected library of some of the most undercover investment opportunities in the market today. So not only will you gain immediate access to today's deal, but you'll also have the opportunity to get in on several other opportunities as well. Full-scale customer support. During your test drive of Nick's Notebook, you'll have access to the same outstanding customer support all of my current readers get. Have a question about my service? Having trouble logging in? Simply call us Monday through Friday during market hours and we'll sort everything out for you right away. Plus, don't forget the free bonus I'm including as part of your test drive, the pre-IPO playbook, your guide to 1,480% gains. So given all this, what do I charge? Today, you can join Nick's Notebook for just $2,995. If that price seems high to you, that's fine. It might to some people. But those who understand the true profit potential of the opportunities that'll be emailed to them will likely think that's pretty damn cheap. You have to remember, these are speculative plays. They're primed to make more money than your average play. Not to mention the private opportunities only readers of Nick's Notebook will have access to. Plus, this is a very limited opportunity. Only 400 people will be allowed access to Nick's Notebook. I simply can't let more than that number of folks join. These are very exclusive deals that can only sustain a certain number of investors. Any more than 400 people in my inner circle, and we'd blow these opportunities out and decrease our profit potential. Keep in mind, these are the kinds of opportunities the elite rich use to make their next 10 million over and over, and you can do the same. You'll be on the inside of the most secretive information I can divulge by law. This is information it costs me a fortune to obtain, and you'll have it sent to your inbox the minute I receive anything I think is worth your time and money. But if you're still on the fence, this should make it an absolute no-brainer for you. I stand behind every piece of advice, insight, and recommendation I make with 100% confidence. Your complete satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So I want you to go ahead and take a full year to have a good look at everything I publish. That's a full year, 365 days of membership level access to every pick I make, every report I issue, and most importantly, for you only, any high-profile secret I divulge through Nick's Notebook. And after all of that, if you're not totally thrilled, just tell me and I'll refund every penny you sent me. No questions asked. Even better, You get to keep everything I send you over the next year during your test drive. You get to keep all reports, profit opportunities, and of course, any profits you receive during your tenure as a Nick's Notebook member. However, should you decide, as I expect you will, that Nick's Notebook and the confidential information I share with you are completely worth the price I'm asking, then you'll be on a select roster of folks receiving access to information other investors wished they had. To start your test drive today, simply click on the Join Now button below and begin securing a lifetime of wealth today. To join, simply click the button below or feel free to call the customer support line at 855-877-8623.